practical enough for this family of 5.
Meet Mustang, the Ford Mustang. Mustang is also
Mustang, a brilliant new breed of car. Introducing the unexpected, the new Ford Mustang. Mustang from Ford.
Standing in the street, the sun is in the east. Calling out the beast, the tiger underneath. I'm starting to believe the world is at my feet. I'm ready for the feast, it's all within my reach. It's all within my reach.
I know it's beat up. I know it doesn't have a hood because that's over there. I know it's missing an engine, and I know it's missing a transmission. I also know that this entire interior is completely rotted out under these floor pans, which I will insert some pictures. But this is my baby. I know it has cracks here along the paint. I know it needs a new paint job, new chrome. I know it needs a new rear differential. I know it needs new tires, new rims. I know it needs an entire leather interior, new speakers, a new dash. But guess what? This is my new 1967 Ford Mustang Coupe 2-door. This is my dream car. I know everyone's dream cars may be Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys, Rolls Royces, which I have no problem with because some of those cars are my dream car too. Especially a Rolls Royce and a Lamborghini Corvette. But in the rule book, it's not against having a dream car that is over 50 years old. That's my Mustang. I have looked at this car on the internet for so long, seeing fastbacks, and that's what originally started the love for me. But a fastback for me right now is kind of unattainable because a beat up one with a rust bucket frame starts at like 20K. I got this car right here for, I believe it was $5,900. It had a 289 engine in it and a Ford C4 transmission. This is a C4 transmission right here. This one looks new, right? Well, guess what? This is the original transmission. Why does it look so clean? Because I have had the entire thing rebuilt. Here's a picture of what it looked like before, actually. But they completely went in and they rebuilt everything inside. They cleaned it, degreased it, sandblasted it, and they got everything off, and it's a perfectly working transmission. This car was originally listed for $10,000, and I was messaging the guy, and I was like, $10,000, and it doesn't like run well? He was like, it runs, but I parked it, and the last time it ran was when I parked it, and it didn't sound good. So when we went to go see this car, it was sitting in the driveway. It looked so good. I have videos from that day. I will show all of you. But it wouldn't move. The car would start, which he claimed it didn't start. But my dad and I got it to start by dumping some gas into the carburetor. We got it to start. He was kind of happy with that. But it wouldn't move. It wouldn't go into gear. Me being new to this car game, I didn't check the transmission fluid because he said it was leaking. He said the trans was gone, so I just believed it. Anyways, if I put transmission fluid in it, the car probably would have moved and went into gear. But if the car has no transmission fluid, the torque converter won't be able to convert anything, so the car won't move. I should have known that. Whatever. I probably could have got more money off the car, but I got them down from $10,000 to $5,900. This is my dream car, my Mustang. The engine I have completely torn apart. I have never worked on an engine before. The only car parts that I've ever done on any cars is miscellaneous things in the engine, maybe replacing a serpentine belt, but I've done brakes, rotors, wheel bearings, and just little things on cars, you know, that everyone would normally do. Oil changes, I know how to do all that, but I've never done anything big to a car. The first thing I've ever done big to a car was removing this car's transmission completely on my own. I sat down in this driveway where all the stains are. Actually, I got most of them out. and I removed this transmission. I bought this transmission jack at Harbor Freight, and I completely removed it, and then I brought it to this transmission shop I found in Buffalo. They charged me only $900. Maybe I got ripped off, but they charged me $900 to rebuild that, which I thought was fine. I got a completely working transmission that I could trust. The engine, I'm rebuilding this car. I don't want just a boring 289 V8, no. I want something a little more powerful. So my dad's friend at work, Teddy, has this amazing, smart, talented, very meticulous man named Chris. And Chris doesn't play around. He knows everything when it comes to engines. And I mean everything. I sounded horribly dumb talking to him. He is so smart, and he was like, yeah, I could build you whatever you say, whatever you want in an engine. But at the end of the day, it matters what's in the rear end, and it matters what kind of torque converter you have, because you could build a super powerful engine, but none of that will matter, because if you have a bad rear end that doesn't match it, differential, and you don't have a low stall torque converter, then the engine is going to be useless. So that is why I'm getting a new 3000 stall torque converter compared to this original, I think it's like 1700 stall torque converter part. That's $600. Then I got to get a new differential for the car, which we're going to find one off an older car with like a 3.55 gear. I think that's what it is. And we have to take that out and completely replace it. I've never done any of this. Matter of fact, all these floor pans in the car are rusty, which I have photos of. I'll show you when it's not in the garage. I have never welded in my entire life. I have no clue anything about welding as of 2 weeks ago. Didn't know how welding works. Didn't know one thing about it. If you don't know welding, that's how I was 2 weeks ago. So what did I do? I went on YouTube, I went on ChatGPT, and I learned everything I need to know about MIG and TIG welding. TIG welding, a little too advanced. I don't need it for what I'm doing right now. So I went with MIG welding because it's easier to learn. I went to this great company called Eastwood. I bought a welder. I ordered it. It was like $240, and I'm going to learn how to weld. I got to get gas tanks for it too still, but I'm going to learn how to weld. And then I'm going to put these floor pans in, and that will take care of all the rust in the floor pans. I mean, the car's not perfect. I need a new front window. As you can see, there's a crack right over here. I have to patch in some new metal here, to these aprons here and here, and I have to completely take everything out of this still and clean up this engine bay. And I'm sure once I remove these fenders, which I already removed this valence panel at the bottom over there, once I remove these fenders, I'm sure I'll find some more things I got to repair, because cars like this are just non-stop repairs. For example, all this needs to be replaced. Inside of the car, this whole entire headliner needs to be replaced, and unless you spend $600 on a one piece, you got to buy the $60 one, which is way cheaper, but it takes 10 times longer to install. So I have to install a whole new headliner. Little things like the blinker doesn't stay up, it goes down but doesn't stay up. Nothing on this dash works, so I gotta install all that. I gotta put air conditioning in. All these are completely rotted. I need all new the heater element stuff. Parking brake works, the lights work. But what's nice about this car is it does have power steering. Either way, if it didn't have power steering, I would have added it to my engine, because it's just something I don't want to think about driving, having to use all my muscle to drive a car. I drove my uncle's car. He has a 1970 Chevelle. .700 horsepower, I believe, and when I was driving that down the street, I didn't realize that it didn't have power brakes, so I floored it, and then I was trying to stop, and it was super hard, super scary, and the wheel was always hard to turn. So what I want in my own car is power steering and power brakes. So I'm probably gonna convert to all disc brakes. So that's another thing I need to do, because if you don't know, in these older cars, there's only drum brakes compared to the newer cars today. In these older cars, they're drum brakes, and it basically, it's the concept is it's like think of a cylinder, and it presses on the outside wall to stop the car. Horrible design, but smart for when it came out compared to the disc brakes. So I have to put disc brakes in. These motor mounts need new ones. They're completely rotted out. I mean, you can kind of see the crack right here in this rubber. So I need new motor mounts. It's just little things all over the car. I need a new radiator, because the engine that we are building for it needs to be cooled properly, and this will not do the job. What do I also need? Basically every part here. I'm getting a new intake. I'm getting a new oil pan. This is from the 289. This is the crankshaft, this big piece here. This is what moves the pistons up and down. This is the camshaft right here, which opens the valves. These are the 8 pistons, and I took all that apart on my own. I know it's not hard to take stuff apart, but it's the first time I ever took an engine apart. It was a fun experience. I got to look at little things that like, for example, like the distributor powers the oil pump. Like, you just learn little things taking apart this engine that you wouldn't know before. So that's why I'm super happy to be doing this and just tackling it. But back to Chris. Chris is building my 289 engine. We are making it into a stroker. The engine has already been rebuilt once because it is 040 over, which means they bored out the cylinder a little bit. Maybe they wanted more power or more displacement, but they have bored it out before. With a 289, it gets a little dangerous boring it out higher. So we're gonna see what he says, but hopefully it'll all work out. But we're expecting about 400 horsepower and a mean sounding car because I'm getting an exhaust that I'm very excited for, which I won't say anything about right now. I know it's gonna be expensive. I mean, just look at it. Look how mean it is. This is from 1967. Like I said, yes, I could have got a new Mustang, but what's the fun in that? This is history. This is a beast of a car. For example, these old cars only had a mirror on one side. Like, this is beautiful. Not a lot of people can appreciate old cars, but there's also a lot of people who can appreciate old cars, and I don't know why I fell in love with them. This is my Mustang I fell in love with, and I had to get one. Crazy story is that my dad and I found one in South Carolina. Beautiful car. It was an inline six, so I didn't care because it was a running inline six. The car worked and everything, but I didn't care because I was planning on putting a 289 in it anyways, or a bigger engine in it anyways. I didn't know what I wanted back then, but I was planning on putting a bigger engine, so I didn't care that it was an inline six. I convinced my dad, and we drove down together. So I rented a truck. I rented a big truck for $600. I had to pay an extra $300 because I was underage to be renting a truck. I rented a U-Haul trailer for the way back. It's dark right here, but we rented the truck. I got a 2023 GMC Carrera to tow it down, and I'm gonna rent the U-Haul when I get there and then tow the Mustang back. If it's a good car, I'm gonna buy it. And then I got all the cash, got it out today. And you know what? Sometimes in life, man, gotta treat yourself and get yourself something nice because you never know what could happen. And I wanna work on a Mustang. I wanna build an engine for it. This is gonna be fun. This is a big truck. This is making me want a truck now. This truck is so big. I'll show you guys in a little bit.
Going to U-Haul, Winston-Salem, South Carolina.
Yeah, there you go. Look at the screen.
Get the trailer to possibly pick up a 68 Mustang matte black.
So this is the truck we rented. I actually want a truck after renting this. And come here. This is the trailer. Hopefully, we're renting this all in the air. I have no proof I'm getting this Mustang. We have no proof it's good. We drove all the way to North Carolina for it.
10 hours.
10 hours. Rented this U-Haul. I got overcharged for this truck $100 extra a day because I'm 19 years old. It's all good though.
And we bought a trailer hitch.
Yeah, we had to buy a trailer hitch. That's getting returned too. But now I'm gonna show you how good I am at driving this trailer. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Good. And
much reversing in this.
And cut.
That was another $300. And then we get there and my dad and I look at the car and they painted the whole thing in truck bed liner. And I know it sounds stupid. How did I not notice it in the picture? He told me he painted it matte black. I didn't think it was a truck bed liner matte black. Couldn't tell in the picture. Obviously, I'm not experienced in cars as most people, so if I was more experienced, maybe I would have known. If I got advice from someone, maybe I would have known. But we drove all the way there and we instantly knew. He wanted $10,000 for it, and it was just a rust-covered car, and it was this bad. And my dad and I said no, turn around, drove all the way 13 hours home, back to New York. That was my experience, but it was good. It was a good memory with my dad. He told me wait and be patient, and then this is when I found this car. I actually started talking to this guy before the other guy in South Carolina, and I told him I wanted to come look at it, and he wouldn't respond to my messages. Then after South Carolina, like a month after, I texted him again because his car was still up for 10 grand. Obviously no one's gonna pay 10 grand for this car right here because it wasn't running, and he said the transmission was blown. No one wants a car like that. He actually had to move back to Washington. This car is originally from Washington. He had it shipped here because he moved here. His dad lives in Washington, but he had to move back to Washington and he had to get rid of this car because he couldn't take it with him. He was very sad about it. I happened to go on the last day before he was moving away, and he needed it gone. It was like the last 3 days. I shot him an offer, $5,900, way below his asking price, and he accepted. He was very sad to see it go, but this man who was selling me this car, I won't say his name for privacy, but an amazing, awesome guy. You could tell he was sad. You could tell he was sad to let it go because he had a little emotion. And this was his car in high school. His dad and him built this car. They rebuilt it. I have all the pictures in high school for him to drive around. He was 17 at the time. I'm 19 right now. But that's another reason I bought this car, is because since I was young, since I seen my uncle build his car, I've always wanted to build a car with my dad. I wanted something that me and him could work on and appreciate together and drive around together, because it's a passion we both share, is cars. Obviously, I don't know a lot about cars. I'm not gonna pretend I do all the key elements and how stuff works, but I know enough where I feel comfortable to get started. And I could have kept saying I wanted to buy a Mustang, but until I act on it, it wouldn't be truthful. So I acted on it. I bought a Mustang for me and my dad to build, and this is it. And this is what I plan on doing on this channel, is building this Mustang and having a car journey. Hopefully, I can keep this forever, but you never know what the future predicts. Hopefully, it will be done in less than a year. I know that's a crazy saying I never built cars before, and these usually take many years, but these are just my hope. But hopefully with a YouTube channel, that accelerates the process, and you guys can give me tips and tricks, and hopefully I can work with brands and companies and build this car to its max potential, because I love this car so much. I already bought all the floor pans, as you can see right here. I'm gonna weld all those in. I got the seat mounts too, and I got firewall extensions because the firewall needs a little bit work too. Me and my dad will be doing this together, and we're going to enjoy the entire process, and we're gonna have a help from a lot of people. I'm super excited, and I want you guys to follow along for this journey. As for consistency in posting, I have no clue. Maybe there's days I don't feel like posting, but I will post this entire build on this channel and hopefully build an audience and create some friends and have a good time, and hopefully work my way up to a Lamborghini. Because although I said this is my dream car, Lamborghini's another dream car. But this is my dream car within budget, and honestly, I appreciate this more than I would buying a Lamborghini probably, because this means a lot more to me because my dad and I are both doing it together. Also, like, this is where I started loving engines. My dad and I built this mini bike that my uncle bought me. Completely new gas tank, complete new seat, Predator engine. I got that working, and then I decided I wanted to do a car. So that's my story. I hope you guys can follow along. I appreciate everything. I wish I started filming me taking apart the car, like taking apart the engine, pulling the transmission. I also went to Harbor Freight and I bought this engine lift because I didn't have one, and I didn't feel like going to pick one up on Facebook Marketplace and negotiating, so I bought this. I bought 6-ton jacks. I bought 4 of them. Bought the welder, bought the engine stand, which the engine was on for a couple days. I'll show you some pictures of that. But I eventually needed all this stuff, and I just didn't feel like, asking people. The only thing we're borrowing right now is this jack from my dad's girlfriend's dad, who is generous enough to let us use it, and I'm very thankful for that, because this jack has helped a lot, because our other jack was way too small to remove the transmission from underneath. Consider giving a like, consider leaving a comment, and let me know what you think. I know not everything I say about cars might be true. I know I'm gonna spit some errors and wrong facts, but that's part of the process, is being corrected and learning. I'm not experienced in this, like I said, so hopefully you guys can understand that. And if you're my age, or whatever age, just know that life is short when you look at it from an outside view, and eventually you have to do something you want to do, or else you'll never do it. Maybe you don't have the money to buy a car, but how hard is it to save up $5 grand to buy your car and make yourself happy? Make yourself happy for once. Don't keep pleasing other people, because at the end of the day, if you don't have any fun out of life, then what's the point? You know what I mean? So do something for you for once. Buy your dream car. Go skydiving. Do whatever's on your bucket list. This is one of the things on my bucket list. And this will be hard for me, because right now I play at a school. I play soccer at a school, a Division I school, and it's very time consuming. It takes like 4 hours, 5 hours a day out of your life, on top of my work, on top of studying, on top of being with my friends and family. We're really just family at this point, because you don't even have time for friends if you're doing what I do, but you make time. I have to build this in the extra time, and that's what's gonna be challenging. But maybe with a YouTube channel, it helps out a lot. So you guys have a great day. I appreciate all of you watching. Let me know what you think, and you have an amazing day.
The new Ford Mustang.